a long history of cages from entertainment to education. Zoos have existed for centuries, dating back to ancient civilizations where rulers would collect exotic animals to showcase their power and wealth. Early zoos were little more than collections of animals, often kept in cramped and inadequate conditions. These enclosures were designed more for human viewing pleasure than for the well-being of the animals. They served primarily as entertainment for the wealthy and powerful, who would visit these menageries to marvel at the exotic creatures on display. Over time, the stated purpose of zoos has shifted towards education, conservation, and research. Modern zoos aim to educate the public about wildlife and the importance of preserving natural habitats. Modern zoos often promote their role in protecting endangered species and educating the public about wildlife. They engage in breeding programs and collaborate with conservation organizations to help save species from extinction. However, the ethics of keeping wild animals in captivity remain a subject of intense debate. Critics argue that no matter how well-intentioned, zoos cannot provide the space and freedom that wild animals need. While zoos have made progress in improving animal welfare, many argue that these efforts are insufficient. Enriched enclosures and better care are steps in the right direction, but they may not fully address the complex needs of wild animals. Critics question whether zoos can ever truly replicate the complex social structures and vast habitats that animals need to thrive. They point out that even the most advanced zoos cannot replace the intricate ecosystems and social dynamics found in the wild. Despite these challenges, zoos continue to evolve, incorporating more interactive and educational exhibits to engage visitors. They strive to inspire the next generation to care about wildlife and conservation efforts. Many zoos are also forming partnerships with conservation organizations to support fieldwork and habitat restoration projects. Some have even successfully reintroduced animals back into the wild, demonstrating a commitment to conservation beyond their own gates. As zoos continue to balance their roles in education, conservation, and entertainment, the debate over their ethical implications is likely to persist. Nonetheless, they remain a popular destination for families and animal lovers alike, offering a unique opportunity to connect with the natural world. Breeding hope. Can zoos save species on the brink? One of the strongest arguments in favor of zoos is their role in conservation. Zoos have evolved from mere attractions to vital institutions for the preservation of biodiversity. They serve as arks for endangered species, providing a safe haven where animals can be protected from the threats they face in the wild. Zoos participate in breeding programs for endangered species, working to increase populations and reintroduce animals into the wild. These programs are meticulously planned and involve genetic management to ensure healthy and diverse populations. The ultimate goal is to release these animals back into their natural habitats where they can contribute to the ecosystem. These programs have achieved some notable successes, such as the reintroduction of the California condor and the Arabian oryx. The California condor, once on the brink of extinction, now soars the skies again thanks to the dedicated efforts of zoo breeding programs. Similarly, the Arabian oryx, which was extinct in the wild, has been reintroduced to its native desert habitat. Zoos also contribute to research on animal behavior, genetics, and disease. This research is crucial for understanding the needs of endangered species and developing effective conservation strategies. By studying animals in captivity, scientists can gain insights that are difficult to obtain in the wild. This knowledge can be invaluable for conservation efforts in the wild. For instance, understanding the social structures and breeding habits of animals can help in creating better management plans for wild populations. Additionally, research on diseases can lead to the development of treatments that can save entire species. However, the number of animals saved by zoo breeding programs remains relatively small. Despite the successes, the scale of these programs is limited by resources and space. Not all species can be accommodated, and some animals do not breed well in captivity. Some critics argue that resources would be better spent protecting animals in their natural habitats. They believe that conservation efforts should focus on preserving ecosystems and addressing the root causes of species decline, such as habitat destruction and poaching. While zoos play a role, they are just one piece of the larger conservation puzzle. Beyond the glass, What do we learn from captive animals? Zoos offer many people their only opportunity to see wild animals up close. This exposure can foster appreciation and concern for wildlife, inspiring conservation action. Educational programs at zoos teach visitors about animal behavior, ecology, and the threats facing different species. Zoos can also play a role in educating future generations of conservationists. However, some argue that the educational value of zoos is limited. They contend that observing animals in confined and artificial environments provides a distorted view of their natural behavior. The price of a ticket. Does entertainment justify confinement? Despite their stated missions of conservation and education, zoos remain businesses. They rely on ticket sales and donations to operate. This economic reality creates pressure to prioritize entertainment value, sometimes at the expense of animal welfare. Exhibits designed to attract visitors may not meet the needs of the animals they house. For example, large, wide-ranging animals like elephants and polar bears often suffer in confined spaces, leading to stress, boredom, and abnormal behaviors. Section 5. Behind bars, barren lives the unseen suffering of zoo animals. Confining animals to small enclosures can cause significant psychological stress. Animals may exhibit stereotypic behaviors such as pacing, rocking, or self-mutilation as a result of boredom, frustration, and lack of stimulation. These behaviors are rarely observed in the wild and are indicative of poor welfare. Furthermore, many animals in zoos are denied the opportunity to engage in natural behaviors such as foraging, hunting, or socializing in complex ways. The lack of these outlets can further contribute to their distress. Section 6. Space versus freedom. Can we replicate wild habitats? While modern zoos often strive to create more naturalistic enclosures, these spaces are still a far cry from the complex and dynamic environments animals occupy in the wild. Animals in zoos are deprived of the freedom to roam large distances, choose their own mates, and experience the full range of sensory stimuli found in their natural habitats. Even the most spacious zoo enclosures cannot replicate the ecological richness and diversity of the wild. Some argue that it is simply impossible to provide captive animals with an adequate quality of life. Section 7. A changing landscape. Zoos reimagined for animal welfare. In response to criticism, some zoos are undergoing significant transformations. They are focusing on creating larger, more stimulating enclosures that better mimic natural habitats. Enrichment programs are becoming increasingly sophisticated, providing animals with opportunities to engage in natural behaviors and mental challenges. Some zoos are also shifting their focus from keeping large, charismatic megafauna to showcasing lesser-known but equally fascinating species. This allows them to dedicate more space and resources to the well-being of each animal. Section 8. The future of zoos. Finding a balance between conservation and captivity. The future of zoos likely lies in finding a balance between conservation, education, and animal welfare. As we move forward, it's essential to recognize that zoos have the potential to be powerful allies in the fight against extinction. They can serve as sanctuaries for species that are on the brink of disappearing from the wild, providing a safe haven where these animals can thrive and reproduce. Zoos can play a vital role in protecting endangered species, but only if they prioritize the well-being of the animals in their care. This involves creating environments that closely mimic their natural habitats, ensuring they have ample space to roam, and providing enrichment activities that stimulate their minds and bodies. It's not just about keeping animals alive, it's about giving them a quality of life that respects their natural behaviors and needs. This means moving away from keeping animals solely for entertainment and focusing on creating environments that meet their physical and psychological needs. Zoos must evolve from being mere attractions to becoming centers of conservation and education. By doing so, they can help foster a deeper understanding and appreciation of wildlife among the public. Zoos should also prioritize public education about the plight of animals in the wild and the threats to their survival. Educational programs and interactive exhibits can engage visitors of all ages, inspiring them to take action in their own lives to support conservation efforts. By raising awareness, zoos can play a crucial role in the global movement to protect our planet's biodiversity. By inspiring conservation action, zoos can contribute to protecting species in their natural habitats. Through collaborative efforts with conservation organizations, research initiatives, and breeding programs, zoos can help reintroduce animals into the wild and restore fragile ecosystems. The future of zoos depends on their ability to balance the needs of the animals with the goal of conservation, ensuring a sustainable future for both captive and wild populations. Section 9, Your Choice, Their Future, Rethinking Our Relationship with Wildlife. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to support zoos is a personal one. We must each weigh the potential benefits against the ethical concerns. However, we should also use this opportunity to reflect on our relationship with the natural world. Do we see animals as objects for our entertainment, or as fellow beings deserving of our respect and protection? The answer to this question will shape the future of our planet and all its inhabitants.